Hello and welcome everybody to the Overwatch All-Stars Brawl presented today by Star Esports. We are a double elimination tournament dedicated to our Overwatch Tier 3 community. As well, we're powered by OmniCoach, so be sure visit omnicoach.gg and use our promo code Star Esports if you want 10% off your first video package order. Now today, getting into the action, we do have Team RPI taking on the side of Metamorphic in match number 1 of our lower bracket. I am Sir Waltham. Today I'm joined by none other than poor Zach. Now, poor Zach, how are you feeling about this game? You feeling excited for it?
I am feeling very excited for it because Metamorphic is such a strong GOATS team that I feel like RPI is probably going to have to run some quote-unquote unconventional comps to try to take them down.
Yeah, always something very exciting to see when you start talking about non-conventional. It makes things just a little bit more interesting as well. Metamorphic, one of those names that's a little bit more familiar here at the All-Stars Brawl, previously the Watchers Brawl. We've seen them for a couple of tournaments now. Looking forward to seeing how they measure up compared to the last couple of months. It's definitely something to keep an eye out for.
For sure, and like with RPI here being a more new team into the league, with all these new faces comes potential new MVPs. I remember, I believe it was Hergok who was playing Widow in their last match. He was doing really well on that Widow pick and just was really showing up what they had to offer. Unfortunately, they did lose that match, hence why they're here. But I think that if they do find themselves on that Widow, that they can definitely pop off.
Yeah, absolutely. It might be a little dependent on map pick here, but as I speak of that, we will, of course, be starting on Lijiang Tower at the gate. Now, poor Zach, we talk a lot about the different kind of compositions that can be run on the side of Lijiang. Do you have any expectations from these teams so far? I know you mentioned the 3-3 coming through. What do you have in mind?
I'm thinking on Control Center is where you're definitely going to be seeing that 3-3. Maybe in place of that D.Va, you have a Mei. That's very common on a map like Control Center. And you might be able to see some variation also on Night Market. But if you really want to see some potential DPS, Hammond, triple DPS, that's where you're going to want to look at Gardens. Gardens is that one nice, wide open, really lets those DPS kind of take range.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to seeing those DPS if they come into full effect. And as we get the ready signal from both of our teams, we will be hopping in and seeing what our first map of Lijiang Tower is in just a moment.
The exciting coming into this here. Looks like it is going to be, as the game slowly loads for me, starting off on Night Market.
Yeah, absolutely. So not quite the Gardens triple DPS preference that we're seeing here come out, but still some potential. This one's kind of played a little bit more in the middle, I'd say, between, being so heavily tank favored and being so heavily DPS favored. I still think we have some good possibility to see, just a little bit of wackiness come out here, Zach.
Oh yeah, definitely a chance to see some of those DPS come out here. I wouldn't be too surprised, though, if they were to both run that 3-3 composition here. Maybe with a Sombra. Sombra's really good, considering how open the fight is usually outside of this point here near the Lions. It looks like on the side of RPI, they're going to be doing a little bit of a more dive comp. Whether they change that up or not, who knows. But, of course, over on the side of Metamorphic, going with that standard 3-3 with an Ana in place at the Zen, which I've been seeing a lot more recently.
Yeah, absolutely. As we've seen the D.Va kind of fall out of vogue, the Ana's become a lot more powerful. You don't have to worry about sleep darts. But we can talk theory all we want. I want to get into the action here. Going to see both teams rolling out, as you mentioned. Team RPI going to be rolling that dive comp a little bit. Going to be seeing the Pharmacy come out actually as well. Going to be looking to Yuki, trying to get a little bit of early damage with this Pharah, not quite able to build up too much. A couple shots coming in to chip down some damage, playing those windows really tight, but a nice sleep dart coming in from Potion and the pin to follow up from JD. That is crucial. That is a very good opening. The Mercy by Reagan not going to be able to be following up with the res on that one. Numbers advantage will therefore be in favor of Metamorphic, and they're going to hold this point. If they get the point flip, which they are going to be, they're going to be getting a lot of time here, as it can take a while to dislodge a GOATS composition.
Yeah, and that was a really great sleep dart from Potion onto the Pharah, and killing them in the middle of the point makes it completely unresable. If the Mercy would even try to go for that, most likely would just be killed. So then they knew that they would just get a little more chip damage in and just wait for that Pharah to come back.
Yeah, Pharah going to be striking back, though. Both Ana's going to be falling. A lot of healing gone both sides. However, the kills now going in favor of Metamorphic. Still, it's going to be Yuki trying to stay up towards the skybox of the point. Not going to quite succeed in that. Gato's falling, but it might not be quite enough for the side of RPI. As the kills continue to go in favor of Metamorphic, they're going to hold here.
Yeah, really great hold for Metamorphic. Because they're running that 3-3 and the RPI has to push right onto the point, it makes it really difficult because of all that like togetherness that they have. That's kind of what the Pharah is for here, is to try to break them up a bit more here. So I think as long as that Pharah can get in and maybe cause a little bit of disruption, maybe the Winston can jump on the back onto the Ana and try to take them out, really just negating a lot of that healing.
Yeah, absolutely. An early hack going on to Poseidon, but the Earth Shatter comes. Cake and the Diva Bomb coming in for the now attacking side. Yuki getting slept once again and pinned by JD. The coordination between this Ryan and Ana seems pretty solid here today, Zach. And we are seeing Poseidon clean up the point as it continues to be a hold by Metamorphic.
Yeah, and we really didn't see too many ults used there, but we did see a few. We saw the Barrage, we saw the Diva Bomb, saw a Shatter, and we saw a Grab. The Grab there was really good at the end. Knowing that that Diva wasn't in mech, they pretty much had free range to throw that, and that they did. So Poseidon was just able to get the pick-offs of everyone who was stuck into there, like the Mercy and the Winston, and just slow them down to make it really hard for them coming up on this next fight. But I think we're going to see a lot of ults come out here.
Yeah, that EMP and Sound Barrier are also going to make things hard, but one for each side here. And we are seeing the Diva Bomb take out Mr. Rarta. That is a little bit of tanking done. At least it would have been if Reagan didn't get the res, but kills still going in favor of Metamorphic as we see Potion trying to get back to point. Not going to be quite there in time. Yuki getting a big concussion kill onto Alex, but it just does not seem enough. The Air Shatter coming out once again from JD, going to be taking down the Winston, and with that, it is clean up. It's going to be the side of Metamorphic taking first point.
Yeah, that was, like I said, very good hold. They had so much sustaining power onto the point. It was just them sitting there and say, hey, you got to come to us to get this point. We're going to stay right where we are, and that's what they did. They dug in their heels, and whenever they came into attack, they were ready for it. Very good hold there by Metamorphic.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things when you play Winston. It's so hard to block a Reinhardt Shatter, which we saw coming through pretty effectively from Metamorphic by JD, getting a lot of those kills because of that Earth Shatter. Overall, some very effective play, but we're still not going to be seeing RPI change off of that pharmacy, it seems.
Yeah, and now it should be a little bit easier for them coming here on Gardens because they have so much more room to work with outside of the point, it feels like. And going into the point, it's very easy to disrupt. You got that big pillar in the middle, so they'll have to hide behind that, and then that kind of creates more of a chance for them to dive on you. But JD now running that Winston also can kind of perform a counter dive in a certain way.
Yeah, it might be a little hard though with the DPS being so high flying here. We're seeing Yuki get a little bit of damage. Noctis getting hacked, might not be able to get closed upon by the DPS here, but we're seeing the side of Mr. Raratar diving in a little bit deep, and because of that going to get anti-nated. Not even going to be able to be saved by the rest of their team, and because of this, we're seeing Metamorphic take an early first point. Looks like the Pharah doesn't quite want to disengage, however, but not a whole lot to kind of deal with that threat in the sky.
Yeah, that was a really good pick over there on the Poseidon, but now Yuki's just getting another pick. Why not Noctis? A Barrage going on to Potion.
Big
now
kills
from the side of Metamorphic are coming down.
Yeah, big kills coming in from the side of Yuki. That Rocket Barrage really getting the value it needed to. We're going to be seeing them get the first point here, and it was a good stabilization.
Thanks for the assist.
Yeah, now you can see Potion switching over to the Moira, which really does help with these DPS, especially this Farm Mercy over in the sky. So now they're going to have to be a little bit more careful. It shouldn't be too big of a hassle for them, but now they're going to have another person focused onto them, so it could make it a little bit harder coming into this.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be seeing the Primal Rage come out from the side of Mr. Rarata. JD getting brought, not have that Primal to back them up. Lucio getting antied by, or Noctis is getting antied on the Lucio there. We're seeing a lot of these rockets coming from Yuki. There's not a whole lot to kind of mitigate this damage, but Yuki not able to really get the focus, and Mr. Rarata getting the Nano, chasing down that Moira as much as possible, not quite able to follow up. The Moira going to be taking down the Pharah because of it. And now the kills are going in favor of Metamorphic. Alex has that Diva Bomb. Doesn't look like they'll be needing to use it as they are slowly getting healed and containing control at the point.
Yeah, that was a fairly good push by Metamorphic, but Yuki gets another pick on the way out. Might as well. And another Barrage, too. Just kind of tell him to back off. This is my spawn. I don't want you near this. And right now, it looks like they're going to be going into this. There's a lot of alts on the side of Metamorphic, so it's going to be really hard to take it unless you take out that sound barrier, which is just going to make it a little bit harder for Metamorphic.
Yeah, Huragok might have a big opening for an EMP here. We're going to be seeing as the Coalescence coming out from Potion, going to be keeping JD up, just tightening down on those chokes. However, the commitment doesn't seem to be there. However, Alex going to be going for the commitment with that Diva Bomb. Poseidon taking down Mr. Rarata a little bit late onto the engage. And with that being said, we're seeing the fight taking place here in this choke. JD going to be focusing down Huragok after the EMP hits. And right now it just looks so scattered from the side of RPI. They don't really know where they want to take these fights.
Yeah, it's really difficult to take these fights sometimes because you definitely want to go out into the open to the right a little bit more. It just feels a little more comfortable with the dive. You can see everybody. But since it's just such free range that Moira is just going to be able to get you with the suck, and then Sombra can just hack you, so it makes it really hard.
Yeah, Huragok throwing out an EMP, not going to land on anything, man. Going to get the manual to knock a little bit later, but not after Mr. Rarata falls. And that is going to be costly. The Pharah Barrage coming out, Noctis taking them out with that Lucio. The hack onto Reagan, not going to be too impactful onto that Mercy, however, still going to keep the Mercy at bay for just a little bit. Mr. Rarata popping that Primal Rage just to get into the point and get on overtime. Beefcake taking down Noctis. That is a kill going in favor of the side of RPI. Might not be enough, though. We're seeing Huragok on this Hammond just to try to get some stall onto the point. The kills really need to start coming through from RPI, and it just does not seem like they are. Huragok trying to claim this back, but does not seem like it will be able to do the trick. As we see the Primaling JD on point, the hack going to be going on to Huragok, and with that's going to be quickly burned down. But more reinforcements going to be on the point. The emergency Doomfist coming out as well. Reagan looking a little lost for battle here, and with the cleanup, it's going to be Metamorphic taking this this map.
Yeah, very impressive by the side of Metamorphic there. Poseidon on that Sombra was really starting to put in some work. He was getting a lot of value out of those hacks, whether it be onto the enemy Winston, the Pharah, maybe even the Mercy in the sky. It really just made it hard for them to kind of move around, because with characters that can have the potential to be so squishy, you definitely want to have that mobility to get yourself out of those sticky situations. And right there we saw a very good barrage from Yuki that helped them get that point earlier on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, of course, we will be moving on to the map selection and ban phase. Still got a lot of maps in the pool. However, since we did just play a control point map, that means that Oasis and Ilios not going to be up for selection this time around. But we do still have about 8 other maps in selection phase right now. So I think we're still looking at quite a beefy pick pool here. And Zach, do you think you have any kind of theories as to what the teams might be leaning towards in terms of map style?
I think Metamorphic is just so strong on their ghosts. They feel super comfortable with it. It's something that we've seen them on for quite a while. They're very familiar. So right now, I think RPI is just going to be looking for a map that may not be so goats oriented. Maybe they want to go something like Junkertown, where it's more of a bunker, maybe a triple sniper with it. And I think that is going to be some kind of style that they go with, whether it's Junkertown or maybe Hanamura, because on that first point, you can definitely run that bunker. Even sometimes you see it on the second point. So I think that's really just going to come down to, all right, do we want to play to the bunker? Maybe we want to try to get a little more situated into that goats matchup. But I think they are going to go more for this DPS oriented team compositions. And right now we got a ban onto Paris. Not really a surprise.
Yeah, it's also not part of the map pool, so a little bit of confusion coming in from Metamorphic.
That makes sense.
It never fails. Even when Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony are not in the map pool, people so quick to ban those maps, just not feeling the bunker. I don't blame them. They can feel like Paris can feel like such a slog. I love Horizon Lunar Colony personally, but you know, I think I'm in the definite minority on that situation.
Yeah, you think you're in the minority. Paris is one of my favorite maps.
Ooh, welcome. My friend, I apologize. That's a rough life to be living.
Yeah, well, I just have such a good win rate on it. I've only lost 2 out of probably like 10.
Well, I mean,
I've played on it. I don't know. I just seem to get lucky on that map. Anyways, it doesn't matter how I get lucky on Paris, because we ain't even going to see Paris. So what does it matter? Right now, I think they're just kind of going through the pool, because now they just kind of forgot what the pool was, which it happens, you know? From time to time, it'll just swoop right over your brain.
Yeah, it just, it happens to almost every team. Nothing really too bad to be feeling there. But as I was talking about Paris and Horizon always being banned, with that, we're going to see the almost insta ban onto Horizon coming through from Metamorphic, meaning RPI. If they do want to take one of those assault style maps, we'll have to go either Hanamura or Temple of Anubis. So we're going to be seeing what they select here momentarily.
They're going to decide to go for Hanamura, it seems, which is kind of that idea of we're probably going to want to run a bunker here, which is something that I definitely saw them doing because, like I said, their DPS just are really good here. So if they can set themselves up and be able to get those long engagements onto Metamorphic's goats, then it's going to be really hard for Metamorphic to cap the point.
Yeah, I mean that kind of sums up goats, right? They are great when they get within brawling range, but if they're kept at an arm's distance, it makes it significantly harder to run. So I think that RPI going to try to exploit that weakness perhaps in Metamorphic, but I'm sure Metamorphic not perhaps so locked into that triple where they wouldn't be willing to kind of switch it around. So they will be getting the choice of attack or defense. So they do kind of have the option to set the pace here for the side of Metamorphic.
Yeah, and I think looking at this, as long as you can have the option of attack or defense, I think the majority of the time always pick defense just to know what your win conditions are when you're going on the attack. Because I feel like the pressure just gets put on a little bit more when you're the first ones attacking, and then it's like, oh, we only got 1.5 caps, let's say. So now they know their defense conditions, so that's how they're going to style their comps a bit more on the defense. Whereas if you're starting on the attack, it's just kind of a little bit harder there.
Yeah, and it looks like they will be opting to start on that attack. And one thing I kind of noticed with teams that are very confident in their skills and perform to a very strong degree over their opponents, they tend to favor that defense more often so they can kind of get through the map quickly. Metamorphic not seeming to kind of set that tone. Might not be intentionally because they don't anticipate being better than RPI. I think the numbers so far are showing them in a favorable position. But it's just kind of interesting to see that dynamic come out. I'm curious if Metamorphic will be, reaching into that a little bit later if we even go on to any more assault or hybrid style maps. It does look like we are waiting just a few moments for the teams to get already Metamorphic. Looking like they're having a few issues, but we're going to be hopping right into it here in just a second.
Yeah, Hanamura here. I love watching teams play on Hanamura. I don't like it as much myself, but watching the other teams play on it can be super fun and interesting to watch just because of how the bunker style kind of differentiates between teams. Maybe they run the Baptiste, maybe they run a Zen, and then for their other DPS, their DPS could be anything. Bastion Ash, Tor Bash, Tor Bastion. They could throw in a Hanzo, maybe double snipers. You just never really know. I always think it's really interesting to see what the teams like to do with their bunker.
Yeah, and we talk about all those different kind of styles you can see with the bunker. I'm kind of curious. I know we see it on some maps, not others. Do you think Junkrat is a fair option for bunker here? Or do you think the map's just not favorable for it?
I think Junkrat can definitely get value in certain positions. I think that on this first point, you can definitely use him. I think once you get over to the second point, it makes it a lot harder to find value with him. Mm-hmm. I think it also would depend on what the enemy on attack is running. Because if they do run something that makes you have to have a very good point presence, then the Junkrat's going to have to completely rely on that shield. Because once they get in close range, yeah, he's got that really fast burst damage. But if they're running goats, so do they. And they can focus you a lot better.
Yeah, that's absolutely going to be the case. And we are also getting right out of the gate here. We're seeing Poseidon on that Sombra, perhaps just for a little bit of scouting. Going to get caught out almost immediately, though, by some nice right clicks from Beefcake. Looking like the calls are coming in, and we're going to be switching to a little bit more of a sniper dive style comp. We're going to be seeing Gatos on that Genji, Poseidon on the Widowmaker. Perhaps trying to get some early damage in, but no. Looks like some more switches coming through.
Yeah, and this will happen. They'll just kind of look at it a little bit, decide, okay, what do we want to play? Maybe they make a call that they're like, well, actually, let's try this first, And there's no harm, no foul. You can always go back and switch. There's always still time on the clock until, well, there's no time on the clock.
Absolutely the case here. We are seeing a little bit Continued sniper usage from Poseidon, except Alex going to be hopping onto that Hanzo. In addition, the immortality field going to come out from Validus onto the point rather early, and it's a nice sleep dart onto Huragok. That is a lot of DPS taken out in the form of losing that Bastion. Anti-nade going to be only landing onto Validus from Potion. JD going down quite early. Not a great start for this DPS-focused comp. Alex getting brought dangerously low because of the Bastion shred. Just not quite finish off.
Yeah, Gatos there at the start was able to actually concussion blast Mr. Arita. I think I pronounced that somewhat close. And they all knew to drop off the high ground. Okay, everybody just needs to get together on the point. They did a really good job grouping back up. It's not like half of them stayed up there. They knew exactly what to do if something like that were to happen.
Oh, no.
Poseidon's kind of throwing them for a loop here with these amazing shots.
Yeah, Poseidon absolutely popping off here, taking down some crucial members. Alex going in for the cleanup. It's going to be a very quick turnaround for the side of Metamorphic. And with that, we're seeing a lot of ults come online too.
Yeah, now Metamorphic has 5 ults. They only used 1, it seems, for that engagement. Meanwhile, over on the side of RPI, you know, they're close to 2 of their ultimates, but, you know, you stack 2 against 5 ultimates, 99% chance that 5 ultimates is going to take it. So we'll see what happens here if RPI are actually going to be able to hold this. It'd be pretty interesting to watch here if they are able to do that. It'd be very impressive.
Yuki getting an early kill onto Alex is going to help mitigate of that momentum coming through. Noctis going to have to use that res to bring them up just a little bit early. We can already see Metamorphic being a little bit more hesitant because of it, but the Bob's going to come out to initiate. Poseidon then taking down Reagan. There is no res potential, but Bob's going to be taking a nap onto point. Yuki getting a 1-for-1 kill, and the attempt coming through from Gatos. However, Gatos being a little bit more successful, not losing their life in the effort. JD throwing down mines, going to be finding some value with that. And now the contest just trying to come through on point. Reagan once again taken down by the snipers. JD doing some clean out, and we are seeing these emergency characters come out. Beefcake on the Hammond, on the Wrecking Ball. Going to try to be building up just a little bit of stall. Not going to quite be working too well. Huragok trying to get on that Tracer just for a little bit of speed on point, but the kills are not coming through for the side of Team RPI. And with that, it's going to be Metamorphic taking the point in Blizzard time.
Yeah, Poseidon there really popping off, getting a lot of picks on the first point, a lot of picks on the second point, just really showing off their Ashe play. And throwing that Bob onto the point, technically counting as a player on the point, is going to make it so much pressure, and you're going to have one of your teammates on the point, which they did a great job. The Bob did get slept, but like I said, since he still counts as a person on the point, and it's going to get capped, someone has to stay out there. And unfortunately, they don't have a shield that stays up long enough or can really hold itself there because they were on that Winston. So it just made it really hard. But like I said, going into that, it was a 5 ult versus 2 ult. So they were really at a big disadvantage to start with. So they held it as long as they could.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the time bank, we're seeing Metamorphic with almost as much time as they started with here. So they're going to be feeling pretty favorable about that, looking to see what their comps coming out are going to be. Gatos looking like they might be confirming on this Sombra, or the Symmetra, excuse me. Nope, going to be heading back into point, perhaps just for a second, come out with the swaps.
Yeah, it looks like right now they're just going to be doing some Winston. Oh, maybe a Baptiste, yes. Okay, I think they're going to elect to stay on the Baptiste. Nope, they're going back over to Brig. Okay, let's just keep talking. All right.
Gato's going to be a little indecisive right now, but they certainly have the time for it, being ferried by Noctis to get back to the choke or wherever they're setting up.
Yeah, and it looks like RPI might be trying to do a little bit of a teleport to point, but Poseidon's up here scouting it out, so he'll be able to call that in case they do decide to go that way. I imagine the call's been made, a couple shots taken over at Huragok on the Zen. And wow, actually a great pick onto Poseidon from Huragok right there.
That's going to be a good opening, assuming they can capitalize upon it. The teleporter coming through. The entire team looking very coordinated to get through that teleporter all at the same time. Beefcake not setting up those turrets quite yet. We're not seeing them kind of choke down on the point, but it's looking like some defense has to start coming through from the side of Metamorphic. Although despite that, the kill is going to be coming through. Gatos trying to get onto point, but they will trade their lives for it. And with that, it's looking like RPI is in favor to take this point. The Sombra doing a little bit of pestilence onto the point. Poseidon just trying to build up that ult charge for next point. And with that, we're going to be seeing RPI take it in a pretty good time as well.
Yeah, really good time. Over 6 minutes right now. taking it a little bit faster than Metamorphic was, but they don't have quite the same ult advantage at the moment as Metamorphic did going into that second point. So again, they're just going to have to rely on themselves, getting an amazing pick like Hergok did over onto Poseidon to try to make this a good push here and maybe be able to cap a couple ticks.
Yeah, we're going to see them try to once again go with the teleporter onto the point. They're going to see the sim set turn all around the point. That's going to create a lot of different angles of damage. The sim wall now coming out, a lot of ults coming out, the Transcendence coming out, but soon being followed by the opposing EMP, and it looks like it's all going to go in favor for the defensive team right now. This high ground held by Potion looking very valuable, as a lot of healing coming through without much of a way to deal with it.
Yeah, and looking at the fight there, you didn't really use too much that you think might have been a little more valuable. You use that Transcendence, which really, when else would you use the Trance? So that was a good time to use it. You're about to come up on your sound barrier, and now that the EMP is gone, they don't have a nano. That sound barrier is just going to be able to give you like so much more sustain, but Noctis also with his sound barrier could use it in a defensive way, which is probably what they'll do.
Yeah, the grab going to be coming out. The sound barrier as well, calling out for both teams. Nobody really going to be taking any drops because of it. An anti-nade coming out. Not going to be finding too much purchase right out of the gate. Gatos as well as Validus bringing out the rallies. The Earth Shatter coming down from Mr. Rarata. Not going to be finding too much. They get brought down by the Diva Bomb in exchange for their efforts. Beefcake trying to maintain some semblance of control onto the point, however, not going to be too successful in that. The Diva's going to get staggered here. Ooh.
That is very unfortunate to see here. Looks like he's going to try to run all the way around here, but it might not work out quite as much as they wish it would. Body block. They use the Primal, which is... all right, that's an option. JD, just going ahead, smack Beefcake, send him back to spawn.
Looks like the change is going to come through from JD. Either way, they're going to be switching onto that Reinhardt.
Yeah, and in the GOATS matchup, when you have a Rein versus a Winston, normally the Rein, it feels like a little bit better of a pick, so you kind of do want to keep up with the enemy, so you'll see them usually switch to a Rein of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. We are seeing the high ground hold here from Metamorphic. It looks like Yuki trying to get a little bit of pestilence onto the defending team. Not quite able to build up too much, not able to get a whole lot of ult charge off the back of it either. Noctis going to go contest them and get out of there just in time. The same cannot be said for Mr. Rarata and Beefcake, who are going to be taking the drop, as now we're seeing Metamorphic push out of this tunnel and absolutely smear RPI against the concrete.
Yeah, and Metamorphic knew that they could have been aggressive there. They knew that Yuki was over on the low ground. It's like, all right, if we rush in here, it's going to be like a 5v6. And then Mr. Terraria, I'm going to mess up that name, I'm so sorry, was actually taken out. So it's like, all right, so pretty much we're going to be fighting 4v6. Let's get in there and let's take them out before they can even try to regroup. So that's exactly what they did. They got a little bit more of their ults off of it, doing really good right now. Yuki, though, pretty close to that EMP, which could be pretty big. EMPs can absolutely win fights.
Yeah, Mr. Rarata getting stunned and brought dangerously low, about half health. He needs to be very careful playing with this Reinhardt style here. Both Reins just kind of swinging into each other. Also have to contest with a lot of ults on the side of Metamorphic. And we're seeing kind of the teams just poke each other around this corner. Not a lot of damage getting done directly onto the teams. The rally going to be brought out from Gatos, and with that, it looks like this side of Metamorphic going to be getting a little aggressive, but with that, an EMP going onto the side of Metamorphic. A lot of ults being committed right now. Poseidon going to be brought down by the Earth Shatter. Alex taking down Yuki, and that's really going to open up the fight as JD and Alex continue to clean up point. Zenyatta fighting on this low ground for his life, also going for a little bit of the stagger.
Yeah, take as much stagger as you can there, and what Noctis did well there was he kind of went after Yuki, and because it was so far away from where Yuki wanted to EMP, they weren't hit, so they were just able to pull off that sound barrier, giving their team that extra health, extra temporary shield that can really help negate a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we're seeing a little bit of a different approach here. RPI going to be taking right up the gut, just going straight onto the point. But the nano boost coming out onto JD, who will be carried off the battlefield by Mr. Rarata. And that is pretty valuable. Yuki going to be taking down their Brig. The pin coming through, however, in return, Mr. Raratan taking down JD. The Earth Shatter coming out with no shield to block it. That's going to leave a lot of kills to be opened up for Metamorphic, and they're going to hold despite how good it was looking at the very beginning.
Yeah, and right there you could see RPI was really trying to get that point before that minute was up, because once that minute's up, you don't really have much time left. If you're able to get in above the minute, even with time on the clock, you just want to be able to have that time, because that still gives you the chance to win. But it looks like with how much time they have, they might end up playing for the draw if they're able to cap this year.
Yeah, it certainly might be the case. It looks like they're deciding if they want to take it right up the center once again. It looks like they are lining up for it. We're going to be seeing Mr. Raratan leading, but getting knocked off by Lucio. That was a very good boop by Noctis. And the EMP coming out, that's going to be landing on 4. Potion also getting hit on that high ground. Going to be dropping down, but the kills going back and forth here. However, now they're seeming to go slightly in favor of the side of Metamorphic. But as I say that, the grab coming out, going to be trapping a few of the members of RPI right off point. It's not going to matter as Metamorphic begins the cleanup. It's looking grim for RPI here. The cleanup's going to come in. Overtime clock's going to tick down, and it's not even going to get touched by the Lucio.
Wow, that's very, very unfortunate for the Lucio there. But Metamorphic able to take this map in what seemed to be a very convincing manner. We saw that first point. They were able to cap that super fast. Second point, they have those ultimates. They can just rush in there and go for it. And right here we're seeing Poseidon with his amazing play onto the Pharah and the Mercy, really just setting up for everyone to just rush in there and just do as much damage as they could and then hurry up and get to the next point.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about how, Metamorphic, so far seems like the better tank-focused team, whereas RPI looking to favor that DPS a little bit more, and I think it kind of showed a little bit here. We saw the bunker phase where you don't have to rely as heavily on the tanks. RPI looked incredible on it. They got a faster first cap time than Metamorphic did. They did it in 1 push. Metamorphic, I believe, took 2, maybe 3. But then when it came to the part where it's heavily played around the tanks to just kind of outwit and outposition each other, they didn't really seem to hold up. It's got to be interesting to see this dynamic moving forward.
Yeah, and I think going into this next map, you're really going to want to think about, like, okay, what seemed to be our win condition there, because they know they kept that point very fast, and mainly because they were able to take out that Sombra very soon and then just teleport themselves right to the point, and they knew that they could hold their ground against that defense. But now going into the next map, just suffering 2 losses, this could potentially be the last map if RPI aren't able to win it. But I think with them now knowing kind of what their conditions are, like, okay, we kind of got more of a feel for Metamorphic's goats and how they like to play. So I think now we're probably going to see them be a little more methodical possibly about their picks. But I think it really is just going to come down to what map it is, because maps are so heavily influenced in what you pick for your composition.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta agree with you. You were talking a little bit earlier about how Junkertown might be one of those more favorable maps. And, I don't disagree. I think that riding the cart, if they're able to kind of, play Bastion to a fair degree versus Metamorphic's, tank centricity, I guess, it can really work for them. I'm very curious. It looks like Temple going to be banned, however, not going to be seeing Anubis this time around.
Yeah, and coming to this next map, you really, I mean, like, just how we were talking about Junkertown, that's really, I think, something that they should pick because of just how much DPS would be needed to really push through there most of the time. You don't really see goats. It's not too big there. They're going to decide to go with Dorado, though. Not a bad map pick. Very similar to Junkertown in the way that you can run that bunker, but you can also just as easily run the goats there too. So maybe they're deciding where they're going to want to put their team compositions. Like maybe on the first phase, we go a little more goats oriented. Maybe on the second, then we go over to some DPS comp, maybe a bunker, get on the cart, or maybe they just run the bunker the whole time. It's you can really see a little bit of a variety in Dorado, I'd say.
Yeah, I certainly think that's a fair statement. And you were talking about it earlier, Hergok on that Widow, Dorado definitely points where a Widow's not completely impractical. You know, if we're seeing Metamorphic, you know, have, you know, at least a little bit of poor positioning, that's something that RPI can absolutely capitalize upon if they're willing to run that Widow to such a sharp degree.
Yeah, and I think when it's going to come down to these duels here, the Widows could be a big game changer, really deciding where there's going to be space taken, because where most people think it's just the tanks who make space, it really is everybody in the team who makes the space, but mainly for the tanks, that's kind of their big thing. But your DPS can make space and your supports can make space. It's all about just hitting their abilities and pretty much hitting shots. Widows keeping sight lines confined, so that way if they were to peek out, chances are the Widow might hit a headshot on them, so they're not going to want to peek certain angles. And it's really just going to come down to positioning, I feel like, in some scenarios.
Yeah, it definitely might. And while we have a moment before the map gets started, haven't pitched it to you guys yet, but definitely remember to vote down in the Twitch chat below for your MVP of the match. We love hearing what you guys think as we get started here on Dorado. For those of you at home, worth noting that the sides have swapped, so now it will be the side of RPI in the red, Metamorphic in the cool blue on the left. Be sure you keep those, you know, straight, as compartmentalized as much as you can. I know I get confused sometimes, so no stress there.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just don't pay attention and it happens. I've done that, I don't know, countless times, to be honest. It happens, you know, it's just something that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it's forgivable. It's forgivable. I mean, casters of all people should not be casting shade. We get things wrong all the time. At least I do. I won't speak for my friend Zach here, but I definitely make my effort.
I get things wrong a lot of the time too. It happens. You know, what can you do? We're human.
Yeah, and kind of as we called it, looking at what the comps are starting to open up with, you know, for the time being, you know, there's always potential to switch here from the attack, but Huragok is going to be hopping onto that Widow. But looking at the more firm defensive side, we're going to be seeing, looking like a little bit of a traditional triple, except Potion going to be on this Ana, not opting for the Zen. As we talked about, D.Va being less effective, going to make the Ana a little bit more effective.
Yeah, and right now, with Mista Rarita, okay, Mr. Rarita, let's try that again. There we go. On this Hammond could really be good at displacing this Goats team, so that way they're split up and it's a lot easier to take down one, because Goats is really a temple. You take down one brick, chances are the whole thing's just going to fall over.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And we're seeing the Pharah come out from Yuki, really pushing in, really making them kind of have to stay out of line of sight of the Sky. A very tough proposition to be in, but they're going to do a lot of stall onto this part. They can contest it from just this one doorway. Looks like they're absolutely going to be trying to capitalize upon that. Alex taking an anti-nade, as well as JD. Doesn't look like it's going to quite be capitalized upon. The Rocket Barrage already coming out. Going to be demeching Alex at the exchange of Yuki's own life, but now the kills are going in favor of the attacking team. Huragok taking down Alex might be the final nail in the coffin here. Poseidon, however, beefily charged on that Zarya. The defense kind of switching sides with the offense here, but Yuki getting brought back up is going to wreak a little bit more havoc. Poseidon continuing to carve a path, and right now it's just Noctis trying to buy a little bit of time on cart with that Lucio. Not going to work though.
Yeah, and right there, when you're playing that Goat, you do kind of want to keep close. That way you have a pretty good second fight. You feel like going into the rest of this phase. But a really, really good job. The Hammer was able to displace, and the Huragok on the Widow was able to just put in so much damage. Yuki getting that fast barrage there, really helping out everybody there. Just a really good showing of team effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Raratok going to be getting the nano on the Winston, or maybe not the nano boost on the Winston. Nano boost is going to be going out, however. Gato's doing a lot of killing here, taking down both members. The unit, it's going to be a pullback from the side of RPI. They're looking a little halted right now.
Yeah, and you don't really usually see the Briggs taking out both the Pharah and the Mercy. But I believe that Yuki was actually slept by Potion, possibly, or maybe it was Reagan. I didn't quite get to see which one that was. But it doesn't matter, because Yuki making the return is going to take out Poseidon, a pretty big piece here in Metamorphic's composition.
Yeah, it absolutely will. Potion going to be brought dangerously low. Will be bringing out the Nano Blade to J. Winston. Sound Barrier also coming out from Noctis. It looks like the side of Metamorphic really want to win this fight. The Diva Bomb going to go out, not finding too much value, but clearing the streets a little bit here. Poseidon on this Sombra, trying to get the hacks onto Yuki. Yuki popping that barrage, going to be suffering because of it. That is a painful loss that we are going to be seeing now. It's just going to be Mr. Rarta on the cart, going to be getting slept, going to be kind of left out to dry by the rest of their team as they get cleaned up. And we're seeing the Primal even coming out from JD, absolutely pushing back Validus. Going to be getting out of there, though, before too much damage is done, too much ult charge is surrendered. Mr. Rarta going to be switching on to the Winston to match.
Yeah, and right now, after that fight, Yuki took a pretty low barrage. But sometimes those risks you gotta take, especially with something like that. But this Diva Bomb's gonna be able to pick out the Mercy here. That's really good, because with those Diva Bombs, you're gonna be able to have so much defense in the air. Because when you throw those up, where are they gonna go? You know, there's not really anywhere to hide when you're in the air.
Yeah, a little bit of a mispositioning by Alex, gonna get out on that Diva, getting demeched as well. He brought Dangerous low and cleaned up on that baby Diva. However, Poseidon equalizing with the kill onto Yuki. And right now we're seeing kind of a little bit of a tank battle, but it's going to be JD pulling back the cart.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be able to get the res off here onto Yuki. And Hergott with a big pick onto Poseidon. That's pretty huge right now, considering that Poseidon had that EMP in the back pocket. So now they're going to be able to push through here and not have to worry about any air denial with the EMP or getting hacked. They can kind of just go ahead, use their ultimates however they want to here. But Alex with that big pick onto Mr. Rita. So now it's just going to be a little bit harder for them to come through, and they're not going to be able to get on the point in time.
Yeah, the EMP going to be coming in, not quite necessary for Metamorphic. It's going to be landing on 2. They will be stopping it before first point. That is a pretty daunting task, therefore, for RPI in terms of holding a defense.
But certainly not undoable.
Yeah,
it's definitely still able to be held there. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Seeing the defense come out from Metamorphic, you know, if they can do it, why can't RPI, you know? So going into this next one, I think that they're going to try to have a really hard defense here. Maybe they elect to go with the DPS on the defense, try to cover more angles. Maybe they do like to go goats and kind of do a similar thing to what Metamorphic did, where they stayed over in the red building and just kind of held that for as long as they could. So whatever they decide to go with here could potentially be a little bit better. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, it's looking like a lot of DPS going to be kind of mulled around on Metamorph. But on the side of RPI, we're seeing the Orisa come out. Also seeing the double sniper as it appears currently. Well, triple if you count Validus, but excuse me, quad if you count Validus. I missed Hergok there. No disrespect, Hergok. But that does just kind of leave, you know, not a whole lot of close range potential if they do get dove or, you know, swarmed up on by a triple comp.
Well, I mean, with if they do end up getting dove, Yuki's going to be a little bit closer towards the back or ready with that grapple to kind of get out of there. But Gato is immediately getting the pick onto Yuki. That's not what you want to see there. But like I was trying to say, they do have abilities that can really punish them if they were to decide to jump onto them. But it looks like they're just going to kind of go with that pulled pork, double sniper set up right now onto the point. And Hergok to play back with an
almost getting hooked. It's barely leaping out of the way with Hanzo's mid-air jump. And ooh, the big hook coming through from Alex onto the side of Beefcake. Snipers falling left and right for the defensive team. That is not a good look. They really need to start getting some kills here. But with another hook, Validus going to be taken down with some scrap gun to the face. It was just a final hole for Mr. Arta. Not going to quite be enough as the cart's going to make it expeditiously to point. That's going to be Metamorphic taking it in a clean 3-0.
Yeah, very impressive by the side of Metamorphic there. They saw what they were running. They were like, okay, we'll match you. Not quite, but we'll get the same kind of feel. And with that Orisa and Hog duo, they just work really well together. You get a pull, you get a hook, just like we saw right there. And it's just basically setting you up for a free kill.
Yeah, indeed. That is such a powerful combo that you really, really love to see it. So, I mean, overall, kind of a play to a brutal efficiency. I mean, you also got Gatos and Poseidon. They're definitely trying to put in quite a bit of work. And with Metamorphic taking this to a 3-0, we are going to be looking for somebody to come give a little post-match interview with my good friend Zach here. Looking like a little bit of a discussion as to who from Metamorphic wants to take the plunge into the casting booth. But gotta remind you folks, before we get into that, definitely make sure you cast your votes for the MVP of tonight's match. Show the players some love. Definitely let us know who you think is popping off. We definitely want to hear it. But Zach, sounds like we have somebody in chat with us. Why don't you take it away, my friend?
It looks like we have Poseidon. Poseidon, hello, welcome to the chat.
Hi, what's up?
Not much, that was a very impressive win from you guys today. Really good plays coming out, and honestly, did you guys kind of have an idea of the comps you wanted to run in here? And I know it's kind of a little bit harder because of the map picks, so you're not quite sure what'll happen, but what's kind of the thought process behind some of your picks?
Yeah, so our coach actually helps us create the compositions for every single map, and so whatever map it is that we land on or decide that we want to play on, we actually just pull out a sheet and we pick the comps that we want to run, depending on the theme and depending on the map. That makes any sense.
Yeah, that's a very cool way to do it. I don't think I've heard anybody do something like that before, but maybe I'm just not seeing a bigger picture there. But you playing that Sombra there, you seemed really, really dominant on Lijiang Tower. You're hitting a lot of hacks, especially onto like the Pharah. Their Winston would jump in. So do you have like a certain area that you like to stand in, or is there like a certain way back you'd like to be? Like, what's kind of the whole idea behind where can I get the most value out of these hacks?
Personally, I feel like the most value you can get is depending on the team, like depending on what team environment you're in. Like for my team, I like to sit in the back and wait for people to dive onto us, and then I'll hack according to whoever the most valuable target. Maybe the Winston who has Primal, or the Sombra who is hiding for the EMP, or the Sombra who is trying to get ult charge. I usually just hide behind and wait for her and try to pick her off as an early start.
Yeah. And when you go into kind of these GOAT v GOAT matchups, you guys seem like you're very comfortable with it. So I imagine mainly you guys really like running your GOATs, or maybe not like it, but you've gotten good at it over the time.
Actually, we started veering off away from GOATs to practice 222 because it's supposed to be rumored to be coming in soon. So we want to just trying to get an advantage on the future meta. So right now we're practicing a lot of different compositions for different maps. But if we want to play GOATs, I guess it's something that we can always rely on. We've been practicing for quite a bit, so we feel pretty comfortable with it.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way during your match today. Again, congratulations on your win against RPI. Would you like to shout out yourself? Maybe you want to shout out some team members, want to thank some people?
Yeah. My teammate JD, this is his first time playing main tank for the team, so that's pretty cool. And also our coach and manager, they've been both doing so much work. It's kind of unreal. I can't even fathom how much appreciation I have for them.
Great way to show them your appreciation is coming out of that win and letting them know that their work was not in vain. So thank you so much for this interview, Poseidon. Really appreciated it.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you. You too. All right. And now we sit here waiting currently for the MVP to come through. While we wait, Sir Waltham, was there someone maybe you would like to elect for an MVP in your mind, maybe?
Oh, it's a little bit tough. See, I guess I don't know. There wasn't anybody who really stuck out to me up until Dorado, and then I really like seeing the pulled pork, the hog Orisa combo just seemed so potent coming through from the side of Metamorphic. I know that takes a lot of communication. Alex, I think, pulling out some pretty good hooks in terms of that general scene as well. Potion, I thought, played a fairly good support as well, playing up on, very good positioning with the Ana, getting some very beefy anti-nades. So for me personally, I'd have to either give it to Alex or Potion. But I mean, I could honestly consider giving it to any one of the players, especially on Metamorphic. What about yourself, Zach?
Looking at it, honestly, we got to have the interview with Poseidon. I think Poseidon and Noctis for me were kind of neck and neck, because Noctis was really making sure that he was out of the way of the EMPs, made sure that if he wanted to use that sound barrier, that he wouldn't be caught in any kind of trap as much as he could. So I think it was really just about positioning. So I'd say either one of them, but if I did have to give it to one, I'm going to say Noctis. I think Noctis was doing really good with positioning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like as we as our Twitch MVP, both the results are going to be coming in. And Zach, I'll save you the honor of having to say this name. It looks like it's going to be Masuda Rarata as MVP from the side of Team RPI. So Rarata, congratulations for getting that MVP award. And as for the side of RPI, although their journey for this tournament is over, we do hope to see them in future tournaments. We hope to see them come back, do a little bit of growth. As well, congratulations to Metamorphic for, obviously claiming this win in the lower bracket. But with that being said, we are about ready to wrap up this esports brawl here. But for your casting entertainment, I have been Sir Waltham. You can catch me on Twitch or Twitter at Sir Waltham. And on the other side of the table, poor Zach.
You can catch me over again on my Twitch, Poor Zach, where I will go over VODs. I'll play Overwatch myself competitively. I might even be playing some other games at the time, Battalion, CSGO, Rainbow. It really just depends. You can check me out on YouTube as well, Poor Zach. And that's really just mainly what I'm on. If you want to find my Instagram, it's also Poor Zach. Completely up to you, though. And, I mean, we're going to have another match pretty soon here, so you might even want to stay tuned and just keep an eye on Star Esports.
Yeah, absolutely. If you liked what you saw, be sure to give us a like, a follow, join the Discord, whatever your preferred method of social media endorsement is. But for the time being, we're going to be logging off here. We hope to see you in an hour for our game between the Honey Badgers and TE Lullaby. But for those of us here at Star Esports, to you, wish you a great night, great evening, and stay safe out there, everybody.
Goodbye.